All right. Well, listen, you took on. I want to take a look at the broader thing right now. You took on Brad Gerstner. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, holy mackerel, man.
I didn't take him on. I just said his words right back at him.
Well, apparently you agreed with most of what he had to say. So,
Oh yeah.
so he was looking. I think if I remember the whole setup right, he was looking at the end of the year, seeing the market being down. He said, "Look, probably people are a little nervous, although the VIX is only at 17, so I'm not sure how nervous people are, but a little bit concerned about, you know, Trump's tariffs or about." Whether or not the, business conditions will continue to be or that they'll be a little too strong, you said 3.1%. But you took exception to his statement that maybe they're worried about the continuation of the tax relief project thing that Trump put in on his first term, and the continuation of that would be inflationary, he thought. And your response was,
Yeah. Well, it can't be inflationary by given nature. It's a continuation of a tax cut that's already in place. So that's not going to create any new inflation if all we're doing is continue what we're doing. Like we're just maintaining status quo.
yeah,
Now, if you took it away, that would definitely be deflationary because now people would have to pay more in taxes, which means they would have less spending power, which means the economy would get less money from people. So, okay, that would be true, but it's not inflationary to continue doing what you're already doing because we already know what that looks like. It's what we have today. So, unless I'm missing something that's very obvious, I feel like this is very obvious.
yeah, yeah. Now
Not
there was some,
inflationary.
now there was some talk that when Trump redoes or reinstitutes that tax plan, what would be the right word? Anyway, brings it back up for continuing to go forward. He has talked about actually reducing the corporate tax rate, at least in that package. My guess is the only way he's going to get a further reduction in the corporate tax rate would be if he also gives something to the folks, something to the middle class. So Brad didn't say anything about that in his notes, but that could potentially be seen as inflationary if those things were added.
Still not inflationary.
Oh, okay.
Like it's not. If you give companies, if companies have less, they have more capital, more earnings that they get to keep, and they pay less in taxes. It does a lot of things to stimulate the economy to help grow. Growth, like for some reason, we've gotten into this world where people think high jobs numbers, good growth, good GDP, that all that's inflationary. Like, no, wrong. Like, it can mean that during the inflationary period when we don't want to see this and we want to contract to slow inflation, but that's also how you spur a bull market, a robust economy. And so the way I see it, if you get out of the way of a lot of these companies, and I'm not necessarily talking about these bigger companies, but smaller companies or third tier companies, right? Different manufacturers will be able to come here because guess what? It's more cost effective to open up a plant or to build in the States than not. And the only reason the math works there is because, well, the tax rates have come down. So it can add more jobs, which creates more tax revenue for people, which gets paid by the employer and the individual. It helps spur cities because then people go and they work in these places and then they want to go grab lunch, or new people move to new cities and now the grocery store is there. Like it's a whole ripple effect. There's a whole, symbiotic relationship when a company comes in, and all that starts from it being enticing to come here and build. Or you're already here. Now I have less tax being taken away from me. What can we do with that money? Maybe we can give it back to shareholders. All right, that's good for the economy. Mm-hmm. Maybe we can invest in R&D. That's good for the company and the economy. There's all kinds of things you can do. So
you can lower prices.
You can lower prices. Yes, exactly. Deflationary. So there's all kinds of things that happen that a company has at its disposal when the government is levying a smaller unconstitutional tax against them.
All right. And a lot of people right now are wondering, they're sitting at the edge of their seat. Now, maybe you answered this somewhere else on X, but you basically put a teaser out there and I didn't see the answer, which is if there is some kind of recessionary pressure right now, if we might be heading into a recession, you have the answer.
Yeah. So I'm hearing a lot about recession. And that tells me, that's signal for me, no recession. And I'm not one to look at the past to be to look for future activity based on the past. Like I think that's nonsense. Could the past correlate to the future? Yes, of course it can. Can it teach us about things that have happened so we can understand like the potential outcomes? Sure. But every day is a new day and every day has an infinite amount of variables that are input into the calculus of what's going to happen that you can't know. So with that, all that said, I tend to be a contrarian. So when everyone thinks we're going to have a recession, my opinion is you don't know anything. And if you think there's going to be a recession, that tells me there's not going to be a recession. Because recessions tend to come when no one's expecting a recession, not when everyone's expecting a recession. And so it's just a clear indicator to me that we're good for right now.
Yeah, I see the one factor. It's just one single factor, and that's the bond prices, which continue to be up there, over 4.5%, which is a little concerning, but quite frankly, I finally had somebody agree with me in print in the old media the other day, saying the home buyers are now considering 6%+ to be the new normal, and they're just going to go ahead with business. They're just going to go ahead and buy the houses. I've been saying that for a while, and I think that's true for the overall economy. This is the new normal. If they go down, mazel tov. But if they don't go down, we'll just do business because they're not that high.
There's no need to cut rates. There's zero need to cut rates. In fact, they shouldn't. And the reason I bought a house during this whole fiasco. I would love to refinance.
Right.
Okay. So that'd be beneficial for me, but that wouldn't be smart in the bigger picture, because eventually we will have a rocky moment. Eventually we will have another black swan event, another COVID, another 9/11, another 2008, 2009. Something's going to happen eventually. And if you don't have rates that you can cut, then you have no more ammo. So being up here gives lots of ammo to the Fed to use to help spur and stimulate us when people are scared and fearful, don't want to spend and want to constrain all their capital because they think it's the end of the world, right? So it's actually really healthy to have that in our back pocket. It was very unhealthy for us to be at this low rates, because should God forbid something would have happened, we would have had no tools at our disposal. Like, that'd be it. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's also helping the Fed do their job by all these rates being kept higher. It's helping combat inflation. It is. So I don't know. I think it's good all around.
All right. So we would both agree there's not going to be a recession in 2025. We agreed that it's going to be a great year. We've got amazing. Oops.
Well, I'm not saying there's not going to be a recession in 2025. I'm saying today, with all the data we have today, there's zero reason to think there's going to be a recession. All right. Right? Because again, you could easily have
a black swan. Yes.
You could always have another black swan. Boom.
I always take those off the table.
Okay.
Of course, there can be a new war or whatever that we can't possibly predict. If you happen to be a big fan of the Cybertruck, you might also be interested in this super fun Cybertruck refrigerator magnet and bottle opener. It is made out of super thick stainless steel, just like the Cybertruck, and it has this giant magnet on the back, so it's going to hold a lot of stuff on your refrigerator. It's an amazing gift, and it comes in that great gift box that you saw before that uses a magnet opener, just almost like an Apple box, like when you get Apple products. You can buy it on Amazon for $29.95, or you can buy it direct from me by sending $25 to paypal.me/Randy Kirk, all in lowercase letters. Please indicate whether you want the stainless steel look, or maybe you'd like to have this very clever camo version. And then if you're not in the US, please add $20 for freight. If you'd like more than one, please check the information below to get pricing, as well as all that information I just told you will be repeated in the information below. So once again, think about joining the channel, getting the up-to-date Tesla news every single day. I think you'll be glad you did.